Hi, welcome back to Game Geeks. I'm your host, Kurt Weigel. Today's episode, Hearts and Souls, the role-playing game. Now, I love Supers games. I do. I own a lot of them out there. There's something about the whole wish fulfillment of Supers, the fact that you can lift trucks with your bare hands. It sort of explains why you don't quite fit in with everything. You know, that's one of the reasons the X-Men was so popular, was it really cashed in on the fact that teens just didn't feel right, but hey, it's because you're genetically different and you're a superhero. A lot of Supers games really focus on how strong you are, like exactly how many tons can you lift, or how hard do you punch Dr. Methuselah when you send him through a wall, or how fast do you fly, how hot are your laser beams. A lot of games do that and do it fairly well. This really isn't about that level of how bad are you, or how tough are you, how strong, smart, great. Although, it's in there, but that's really not the focus of this game. The focus of this game, honestly, is the internal dialogue of a superhero that you almost never see anymore. I mean, when I was a kid reading comic books, there was always the thought bubble that would appear above their head and sort of like, oh, this is what I'm thinking, or I must stop that train, or, oh no, Aunt May's in trouble. You don't see that anymore. It's only recently reappeared in the Mighty Avengers, but this really capitalizes in that. In fact, as you use your powers, if something goes wrong, or you get hit, or something hurts you, either mentally, socially, psychologically, you take a stress damage. Your internal thought dialogue based on your personality of, I must protect these people, or I must help these people, or I must not let him get away, helps you relieve that stress. To me, this is almost getting into the psychology of what it is to be a superhero, rather than, I can lift that tanker truck. The engine itself is pretty straightforward. There are 3 power levels. There's everyday human, there's superpower, and then there's cosmic level. Each one uses a different die code, D4, D8, or D12, depending on what you want to do. There's a base difficulty you shoot for. One of the criticisms that I've heard about this is that there's really no point limit to what your characters could do. So you could make a guy who wants to play Bucky the sidekick and the Batman. They do recommend you keep it within the same power level. That way you don't have Beyonder playing with, I can use a stick and I protect my homeland. There's a real power discrepancy there. Beyond that, this is a really interesting game to get into because it really makes you think about what it is to have superpowers. What does it mean to you? What does it mean to what you do beyond? It's less about the pop culture phenomenon you become that you run into in games like Aberrant, and more about it's more of an internal monologue, or what you're thinking to yourself as you do this. It's not do you have the power of a god. It's what do you do? It's should you do it. This is a nice rules-light Supers game. If you want something just different enough that you recognize it as Supers, but it really makes you think about things differently. This is a good game to get your hands on. Personally, I think this would be a great gateway game to get younger players or people who are less experienced in the superhero or role-playing genre in general into the hobby, because it really makes you think about what your character would do rather than how cool is it I can blow a hole through the building with my optic blast. So, for Game Geeks, I'm your host, Kurt Weigel. Good day and good gaming.